and get started. And so I just want to say, first off, thank you to everyone for joining us this evening. My name is Sage Ober, and I am the Associate Director for New Student and Transition Programs here at the University of Richmond. I work with several departments and schools around UR to coordinate our New Spider Summer Series. And tonight I'm excited to have a couple people with us to talk and give you information about the Jepson School of Leadership Studies. The one thing I do want to let people know is that they're going to share some information, and then at the end we'll have time for question and answers. And so at the bottom of your screen you should see a little button that says Q&A, so feel free at any time to type in questions, and again we'll get to those at the end. So with that said, I will pass it on over to get the webinar started.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sage. We appreciate it. So my name's Kirsten Soderlin, and I'm one of the Associate Deans at the Jepson School of Leadership Studies. And I'm very excited to have with me this evening two recent graduates from the class of 2023 and a rising senior who is literally coming to you virtually from his internship site. So what I'd like to do is to share some sort of broad strokes about the Jepson School and our curriculum. But then I'd really like to save most of the time before we do Q&A for you to hear from our grads and our students, because I think, first of all, they're far more interesting than I am. And secondly, I think you'll get a sense of various ways in which our students interact with Jepson and the number of opportunities that we provide and different ways that people are using the curriculum. So the two biggest questions I'm typically asked are, what is leadership studies and what do you do with a leadership studies degree? Which obviously, it's completely reasonable why people would start there. So when we talk about what is leadership, at the Jepson School, we talk about educating for and about leadership. And so I always start with the about part, because our faculty would be very disappointed in me if I did not begin there, since we feel very strongly about making certain that we say that it's a school of leadership studies. And so at Jepson, we really view leadership as a process. So it's not just talking about particular individuals or particular positions, although those are certainly things that we do discuss. And we really think about leadership as it was, leadership as it is, and leadership as it should be. So we're looking to provide all of our students a really strong foundation and understanding about the dynamic process that is leadership. So we think about leadership as it was. So we look to the past, we think about what can we learn from the past. And that's not, again, just about individuals, that's also about the context and everything that's going on around particular individuals who may hold leadership positions, particular political circumstances or societal circumstances that may lead to different movements and things of that sort. We talk about leadership as it is, and we all know there is no shortage of things we can discuss, the good, the bad, and the ugly as it relates to leadership these days. And so, here you might think about the fact that we're talking about different pieces of that process. And so we're talking about implicit biases. We're talking about influence, power, persuasion, how they're used and how they're abused. We're talking about leader-follower dynamics and group dynamics. And then the last piece of it is really leadership as it should be. And so at Jepson, we have a very strong connection to ethics. And so it's woven throughout our curriculum, but our capstone class that all of our seniors take in the fall of their senior year is a leadership ethics class, because we think it's really kind of integral that our students go out in the world and have a really strong sort of understanding about ethics and about making really difficult decisions in a variety of different settings. Jepson is not really about creating this little cadre of CEOs or generals or people we're sending out into the world. We really want to create individuals who are going to be effective and ethical in no matter what role they're playing. So we talk a lot about followership at the Jepson School, because in reality, in all of our lives, there's times where we actually are leaders, and there's many, many more times where we're probably in a role that would be more of a follower role. So that kind of gives you a big umbrella picture when we talk about what is leadership studies. And I feel fairly confident that when our recent grads and our rising seniors talk with you, they're going to share with you probably some of the classes that they took and really enjoyed. But we have a wide array of classes, both the core foundation classes, but then a whole host of electives that cover a variety of different topics. So that's the about part of leadership. And again, we feel like if you have that really strong foundation and you understand that process, that it's going to position you to go out and be effective if you do assume leadership roles. By virtue of the way our faculty teach, you're going to develop a lot of the competencies that we associate with leadership. So you're going to have to work in groups. You're going to have to do public speaking. I'm sure you will probably hear from our folks tonight that you have to get really good at rounding your position and your perspective in good data and sound reasoning, but also how do you listen to others and absorb that information. So the other piece of it is the for part. So it's about leadership, but it's also for leadership. And so our curriculum is very experientially based. So we have classes that have community components, like our Justice and Civil Society class, our Leadership in Stage and Screen class, where you're actually going to be sort of interacting with different organizations that we're partners with in the community to kind of really be testing out and grappling things that you're discussing in the classroom. And then all of our majors actually do a credit-bearing internship. So as I referenced, our rising senior Cameron, who's with us tonight, is at his internship site. And both Sophie and Charlie, who are with us tonight, did internships last summer. And so that's really an opportunity for you to think about the experience you're having in a whole host of different kinds of organizations. You could intern any place you want. And be thinking about what we're talking about in the classroom and applying theories and concepts that we've discussed in leadership studies and how that sort of plays out in the real world. So that's the for and about leadership, and it's kind of the big broad stroke about what is leadership studies. What do students do with a leadership studies degree? And you're going to hear from, again, some of our recent grads tonight, and you'll see they're doing different things. You can do anything with a leadership studies degree. So if you're out there and you want to be an accountant, I do think that you have to also major in accounting. But pretty much everything else, accounting and leadership studies go very well together, though, and we have people who do that. But pretty much everything else that you might be interested in doing, leadership studies would well prepare you. So we have students who get hired into banking and finance who've never taken business classes, who aren't business majors. We have students that get hired into consulting, and consulting is very broad. It means a lot of different things. Nonprofits, large, typical, business settings, government agencies. And so really what our alumni tell us all the time is no matter where you're working, everything that we've discussed at Jepson is relevant and applicable. And what you'll probably hear tonight, as you hear from our alums and our rising senior, is that people pair leadership studies with pretty much anything. At the University of Richmond, you do not have to have multiple majors and minors. But as you all know, as incoming students, you've met lots of Richmond spiders who are like, I have 3 majors and 2 minors, and I exaggerate only slightly. So we find people who pair it with everything from business, political science, PPEL, to the arts, and everything in between. And it seems to really complement everything. So if you have multiple interests, you can certainly pursue that. You can certainly put things together. And some programs, depending on what you pick, there's actually a lot of crossover. And so you might find that if you're a psych major and a leadership studies major, that some of our electives will actually check a box for psychology. Same thing with PPEL and some other programs. So you can go anywhere, you can do anything. You're going to hear from our folks tonight about where they're working, where they're going to graduate school, where they did their internships. One of the things I think we found in recent years is that more and more of our students, when they go to do their credit-bearing internship, actually get job offers from their internship site. Internship sites are using that as a way of vetting possible new employees. And so that's kind of a really nice perk that you do it between your junior and senior year and you come back and you got a job offer. But again, we have alumni working at Berkeley Research Group, Alpha Sites, Barclays, Citibank. I'm looking at a whole list as I go. Bloomingdale's, Moat Marine Laboratory, Virginia Supportive Housing, KPMG, Deloitte Consulting, PlayStation, Microsoft. So you name it, and we've got people in those fields and industries. So with that, I'm going to pause and I am going to I'm going to pick on Charlie first. So I'm going to let Charlie go first. I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves and share a few things about their Jepson experience.
Great. Well, thank you for that. As Kirsten mentioned, my name is Charlie Blunt, and I'm a recent graduate of the University of Richmond, where I majored in leadership studies and political science. And now I am working in real estate finance in the DC area at the same company that I interned for last summer. So Dean Soderland was not lying when she said that a lot of people who do their internships end up going back there. And I guess I'll talk a little bit about why I chose Jepson in the first place. I went to a liberal arts university because I really didn't know what I wanted to do after college. And a year into college, I still felt the same way. I was 18 years old and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So it was important to me that I chose a major that wouldn't necessarily dictate my career path. A lot of my friends at the time were doing either accounting or finance, and they had a great experience with those majors. But it sort of did lock them down a path of what they were going to do immediately after college, and I didn't want that. And so I came across leadership studies, and like Dean Soderland said, you're surrounded by people who all want to do different things and are passionate about different things. And that not only gives you the freedom to figure out what you're interested in college, which is what college is for, it also gives you the opportunity to hear a ton of different perspectives in class. And I think now more than ever in the workforce, that's important, because AI and technology is changing the way that we do jobs, and a lot of skill development is more important than job training. And I think Jepson does a really good job of helping you build your skills and develop how to work with people and how to attack problems uniquely. And other majors, while they're great, might be more focused on training you for jobs that might not exist in 20 or 30 years. So when I look at why I chose Jepson, I think it gave me a lot of flexibility with what I wanted to do in the future. And having spent 4 years with Jepson, I think that was definitely the case. So I'm happy with my decision.
You're muted, babe.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to let Cameron go next. We'll go with the order that you guys logged in. How about that? So
That's fair.
Well, with that being said, hi guys, I'm Cameron. I am the resident to-be senior that was mentioned 3 or 4 times. So I'm a rising senior. I am a leadership studies and music double major. And as was teased, I am currently at my internship site that Jepson has me do up in Old Forge, New York, which is a mountain town in the Adirondacks. Very interesting place. And I'm at a place called View Arts, which is like a little museum has like galleries and performances and events and pottery and all sorts of stuff. And what really led me to Jepson, pretty similar to what Charlie said, I also really didn't have much of an idea of what I wanted to do. Like as a career, all I knew I wanted to do was help people and develop myself as a working individual and just a person of society, really. And it's hard to say that and then be like, thus, this major. Like that, it's so broad and so complicated that it's hard to find all of that in one major. But leadership studies does a pretty good job of it. There's lots of classes that help develop soft skills as well as hard skills. Like I'm certainly better at making points and formulating arguments and thinking through strategies to like the workplace environment or even social environments or anything in between. I'm a lot more prepared than I was before I came to leadership studies. So when I had taken a class and thought it was pretty interesting, I went forward with it and found out more and more that these classes are really helpful as just to develop you as a person. I might be stealing Kirsten's thunder when I say this phrase, but leadership studies really just helps develop you into being a better learner. And it is great at accelerating how you can think not without telling you like what to think. And that's key. It's, there's room for negotiation, there's room for improvement. It's constantly changing, and therefore so are you. And I think that's something that's really unique about leadership studies. Thus, I'm very happy I chose this route, and it pairs interestingly with music, but I'll figure that out later.
Which I think leaves me. I don't mind introducing myself, Dr. Sarla, no worries. Hi, everyone. I'm Sophie Martinez, as you can see on my screen here. I just graduated class of 2023 with a leadership major and a Latin American and Iberian studies and women and gender and sexuality studies minor. Those are both a mouthful. What to say about Jepson? Oh, Dr. Sutherland probably wants me to mention where I'm going in a couple months. Yeah, that could be good. Before I talk about what Jepson means to me, I should probably mention how honored and grateful I am that Jepson is actually funding me to complete my master's at the University of Oxford. I'll be getting my master's in Latin American and Iberian Studies in Oxford, so I can continue my research on gender-based violence, specifically in the Latin American and Central American region. But that was a lot of very niche stuff. You don't have to pretend to be interested in that if you don't want to be. That's just my thing. But I think that the two gentlemen here have already spoken so well about like academically what Jepson can offer you. So I kind of want to touch on a different element, the more personal side, and the reason why I am here during the summer at 4 o'clock here in Colorado. This is perfect sunset and hiking time, but I came here because not only is Dr. Soderlin one of the most amazing and thoroughly compassionate people that I know at Jepson, but genuinely just about every single person in Jepson is pretty up to her standard. I have never felt more taken care of, more loved, more appreciated, and more supported than by my Jepson faculty and staff members. I think that's something that already at like a tiny school, you're going to find that people are just more connected to you. You're going to find your professors are more interested in your life and they want to get to know you. Please reach out to your professors and get coffee. That's like my biggest tip I can give to incoming freshmen is get to know your faculty members. But specifically at Jepson, I like to say that it takes a village to get a degree, especially as someone I am not technically considered a first generation because my dad went to college in Mexico, but I would consider myself a first generation because I'm the first one in my family to go to school in the United States. And it can be really challenging and can be really scary to enter into this new space, even if you're not a first gen. No one has supported me and taken care of me more than Jepson has. I've had faculty members that literally will feed me if I did not have breakfast. I've cried on Dr. Bazayo's shoulders more times than I can count. I think Dr. Sutherland's walked in when I've cried probably once or twice. But I say that to emphasize this concept of you are a human being at Jepson, and the school is invested in your success as an individual, not as a number, not as a statistic, not as like your tuition that you're paying, which is, it's a hefty price. They're looking at you as a person, and whatever you want to do at the University of Richmond, Jepson has got your back. If you want to do like, I can eventually, like once we get to those questions, I can talk about some of the weird stuff I did with my honors thesis, but I kind of did a lot of nuanced stuff with my major and with the research that I'm doing. It's on gender-based violence, which can be somewhat of a touchy subject to governments and certain institutions. Jepson was the university that the college that I knew, like if I'm doing my thesis through the school, they're going to back me and they're going to make sure that I get the support and the resources that I need. So that's how I endorse Jepson. I've never felt more taken care of. And I don't think I would have gotten to the point that I am. I know I wouldn't have if it weren't for all the people in Jepson.
Well, and so we have the Jepson Scholars Program, which is the program that enables individuals who are graduating each year to apply. And if they're accepted into a one-year master's program at the University of Oxford, they may be funded fully. We have funding for summer research and for internships, which is part of the larger Richmond Guarantee funding, but it's very specific Jepson funding. So it's only Jepson students that you're competing with to get that funding. So all of us could say a lot more, and we certainly can continue going, but we want to stop and see if anybody has questions, because we're already about 23 minutes in and we only have until 6:45 with all of you. So are there any questions anybody has?
Yeah, again, remember there's the question and answer box at the bottom. If you want to pop anything in there, we will answer it.
And no such thing as dumb questions, guys. I realize that in college. All questions are good questions.
There's a lot of lessons I like, and I'm also like, maybe I should apply to Jepson.
I know it's a just a bit of trivia. The Jepson School opened the year I was graduating from college, and I'm like, seriously, now you're doing this? So we've got somebody asking about the Jepson Scholars Program. So I can talk a little bit, but I'm also going to let Sophie talk a little bit. So our benefactors, Bob and Alice, Jepson, who created the Jepson School. Bob's very biased, and he thinks that a Jepson education is the best undergraduate education. So he wanted to make what he believes to be the best graduate education available to our students. And so we started doing Jepson Scholars in 2019. Prior to this year, over the years from 2019 until this year, we had sent 8 students. And this year, Sophie is among, she's one of 7 that will be going there. So Sophie, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, not too lengthy, but a little bit about that process.
So yeah, if you would have asked me a year ago that was my plans to attend the University of Oxford, I would have not believed you. Again, I consider myself to be a first generation student, and even the fact that I'm going to a liberal arts school is pretty incredible to myself and to my family. But it honestly wasn't until I was at Jepson School that I had professors that continuously were like, the kind of research that you're doing is so nuanced. It really like ties in a lot of different subjects. I think you'd be an incredible candidate for this master's program, that I finally even found the courage to do that. But something that helped me a lot along the way with the Jepson's program is also the Cambridge Law program, which I can talk about for 2 seconds. But basically, Jepson will also, because they're just incredible and they want you to have experience in the world to see if you like the thing that you're about to study. There's a program called the Cambridge Law program, which is a 6-week summer or 5-week summer program where you go and you take 2 courses, pre-law courses with law students. So we consider them pre-law, but they are just law courses. You take 2 law courses at Cambridge. And after that experience, I was like, wow, I actually love being in Europe. Like, I love the energy here. I love how academia is run here. And it's very similar to how it is at Jepson. And I believe, honestly, that if it weren't for my Jepson degree, I know if it weren't for my Jepson degree, I don't know if I would have had the opportunity to go to that school. They're very much have a fantastic connection with Jepson in particular. We've had a lot of students go through with a lot of success. So they want more spiders to come, which is amazing for students like me who do not have a lot of connections with this master's program or the Oxford world to kind of find your way in, because with schools that small, sometimes a friend just calls a friend and that's how they know to send someone. But luckily with all the connections at Jepson, the process was scary, but I had guidance and help the entire way. That's something that you want to communicate probably to a faculty member or your academic advisor pretty soon, so they can connect you with the right people to get you on the right track.
So let me just say there's like 4 other questions here, and I can answer all of them, I think, in kind of one fell swoop. So the Jepson School is one of 3 schools at the university. So there's the Robbins School of Business, Jepson School of Leadership Studies, and the School of Arts and Sciences. So if you are a Jepson student, you are getting 1 degree, it's leadership studies. That's our only major. Because someone asked about that. Asking about, do you declare this like any other major, or do you have to apply? And so we do have a secondary admissions process. You apply the fall of your sophomore year. I think all 3 individuals on this call with me will tell you that it's not nearly as onerous as the process you just went through. Would you guys all agree? Okay. So another person said, so how do you get started? And can I get started sort of now? So you all are going to be registering for classes very shortly, right? If you are interested and want to kind of try Jepson out, we have 2 intro classes, 101, which is leadership and the humanities, and another called 102, leadership and the social sciences. You can take either one of them first. They don't have to go in numerical order. But once you've taken one of them, you are automatically going to be on my radar and will be eligible to apply. So I'm going to swoop you up into the net right before sophomore year starts and say, hey, Cameron, you're eligible to apply. We hope you're going to consider us, and we'll get you in the pipeline to go through that process. I will say that the majority of seats for both 101 and 102 are held for first year students. So There's a handful maybe of sophomores or a couple other people, but it is going to predominantly, all those seats are going to be open to you all if you want to consider doing that. If you don't take one in the fall semester, you can take one in the spring semester. If you take one in the fall and you love it, and you maybe want to take another one in the spring, you're welcome to do that. And then you can have 2 different faculty members who could do evaluations for you. I will tell you that Leadership 102, Leadership in the Social Sciences, checks a box for general education. So sometimes people go with that one because then they feel like they're kind of doing double duty. And so I think I answered all of those 4 questions. Boom, boom, boom. And so I'm going to let this other one, I'm going to let the recent alum and student talk about this, but overlap between business admin and leadership. How viable is a double major or some combo with those? And some of what you might say may be based on friends that you have with that combo, because I realize you're not necessarily those combos, but if any of you want to weigh in, please do.
Yeah, I can take that one. That's a good question, Mac, because when I was entering the University of Richmond, that's kind of the path that I was thinking about taking. So I took several business courses and several leadership studies courses. The first thing I'll say, and this isn't a Jepson thing, it's a University of Richmond thing, is right when you get on campus, your fall of your first year, you're going to meet with a first year advisor, and they're going to walk you through sort of what you want your majors to be, and they'll walk you through your schedule. And if you say, I would like to do a business administration major with this concentration, I'd like to pair it with a leadership studies major, then they're going to say, that's great. Let's walk through your 8 semesters at the University of Richmond. So it's definitely something that is viable. And it's something that if you're on top of it early, you can do. And it seems like you are on top of it. Now, regarding what you would do with that, a lot of my friends who were in the business school and also in the Jepson school saw Jepson as something that was really important to set them apart during the internship and job application process. A lot of competitive business internships specifically are looking for that one thing that sets you apart in an interview. And they don't want 100 people who are majoring in finance. They want people who have computer science background or a history background, or in this case, a leadership studies background. So it's great that you're on top of this early and you know what you want to do. I would say if you're thinking about this more in the summer, maybe go on richmond.edu and plan out what your 8 semesters would look like. And then think about how valuable a leadership studies degree would look next to a Robbins School of Business degree, because that's what's going to get you the job that you want.
And I'd even recommend, just to really quick add to what Charlie said, reach out to Dr. Soderland, and Dr. Soderland will happily connect you with an alumni that has a leadership and business admin degree. I know there are multiple out there. So literally the amount of people that you can just call and literally just have a 30-minute phone chat, and they could give you so many more tips than we could. She's a fantastic resource. So I definitely reach out to her.
And I would say we have tons and tons of folks who are doing business and leadership studies. I can tell you, we have folks in the business school. They take the group dynamics class in the Jepson school and organizational behavior at the Robbins school, which you might think like, why would you take both of those? And they regularly tell us the 2 complement one another, but one could not take the place of the other. So I think most of our folks who are putting that combination together don't feel like the 2 curricula are stepping all over one another. In terms of the whole political leadership or leadership in the legal field, so you heard Sophie talk about the Jepson at Cambridge program. And so that's something that's available to all of our students. We definitely have some different classes that look at politics and political leadership. Thad Williamson, who's one of our faculty, actually, he took 2 years off from teaching and served as the first director for community wealth building in the city of Richmond. He had been involved in constructing and putting together the mayor's report on anti-poverty. And so Thad has worked directly in the political world. We have Dr. David Wilkins, who works, most of his work is related to legal issues in regards to Native populations in the US. And so he's cited all the time in regards to that expertise and is teaching classes related to that. We have had people who have come down from DC and who have taught classes for us, who are actively working in government. And so that is certainly something that you will find. Just this past spring, we had a class listed with political science that Dr. Cherry taught. So it fulfilled both political science and leadership studies and was very politically based. The one thing I'll say is if you go on the Jepson website and you go under let me tell you exactly what it is. It's called the student resources section. You'll see that there's a forms and guides page. It has all information you would ever need. And from there, through course registration, or even its own dropdown under student resources, you can go look at Jepson syllabi. So we have syllabi up for all of our classes. You can go semester by semester and see the kinds of things you'd be reading and the kinds of topics you'd be talking about. So.
Sorry again to butt in. Just one thing that I thought of so fast. Dr. Sarlet, he's right. Okay, real fast. One, we do have a law school connected to Richmond. So you can always, again, such a tiny school. They're so friendly. The lawyers, I call them, they are lawyers. They were practicing lawyers at one point. The professors are terrifying, but they're so nice. If you were to reach out and be like, hey, I want to be on the law school track. Can you help me look at these Jepson courses and see what you think would be best? They're a great resource. And one of my really close friends, Valentina Rodriguez, she just got practically a full ride to Georgetown Law. So she has been kind of on that law track for about 4 years now. And she said the ethics courses, like nothing prepared her better for this concept of briefing and the way that we have to have an internship to graduate from Jepson. Like all of those little things help prepare her, even though it wasn't content wise for law school, like just the literal parts of your brain that you use for law school. She feels very prepared. Just thought, because we chatted the other day. So.
And we have any number of students each summer who end up doing their Jepson internship with law firms or in other legal settings. And it's kind of unusual. I mean, I think we do fairly well trying to help them network and navigate that. Many places will not hire undergraduate students, but every year I would say we probably have at least 5 or 6 from Jepson who managed to land an internship as a rising senior and as an undergrad. So. We can't possibly have answered all of your questions. Okay, so I'm going to share one other parting thought, and then I'm going to let each of my guests here share a parting thought so that we're conscious of time. I mentioned the student resources section of our website. The other thing I would mention on our website is if you go under the alumni and giving section, we have a number of different things there that might be of interest to you. So one is that every year we do a Jepson senior video. And so all of those are loaded there. If you were to go in and see the class of 2023, you would see, Charlie, did you do the video? Okay. Sometimes we have a senior beg out, but mostly they do it. So you're going to see both of our recent alums there highlighted, talking about their research, talking about what they learned from Jepson, all the way back to 2014, we've got them loaded. We also have some alumni voice videos there. And so we have alumni from all these different fields and industries talking about how they use their Jepson education in the fields that they're working in. And I will say one pitch for our alumni. Richmond alumni in general, very connected and give back. Jepson alumni, uber connected and give back. So every year in February, we do a program called the Jepson Edge Institute, which is completely designed and run by Jepson alumni. And in our non-COVID years, we've had upwards of 80 alumni return to campus at their own expense to do a one-day program with our current students. So they are perhaps the most easygoing, non-threatening people to practice networking with. And they really go out of their way to try to assist our students as they're exploring different options, and actually to assist one another when they graduate. It's a great opportunity when they get involved like that to meet one another, and they've leveraged those relationships as well. So I'm going to stop talking, and all 3 of you now, a parting shot, the most important thing you need to share. No pressure.
I'll start it
I
off.
vote Charlie. Yay,
You got
Charlie.
it.
Go, Charlie.
I feel like we've talked a lot about Jepson, so I'm just gonna say you're all, or I'm assuming all of you are going to the University of Richmond. That's really exciting. It's good to be excited about it. It's great that you're all on this call tonight, over the summer, taking the time to prepare. And just don't take it for granted. College is a lot of fun. You're gonna be happy with whatever your major is. So yeah, just enjoy your next 4 years and have fun.
Cameron, do you want to go or do you want me to go? I can go. Oh, you go, King. You go.
Merely unmuting myself is apparently a sign. Well, as he who is not quite running away, I'd like to impart the overall good-naturedness of Jepson by saying I'm going to be around like for my last senior year. And while I also have an honors thesis to deal with, I like everyone at Jepson is super happy to just like meet new people, introduce you. Like, you know, we've been through the chaos of applying and getting all the classes and whatnot. I know that I speak for just about all of my class and the ones in between us when I say like just come up and say hi. Like we're happy to help out, hang out, make friends. Like when you start with COVID, you really don't have any friends to begin with. But even so, like freshman year is scary. So like you have such a wealth of not only friendly faculty, but also friendly students. Everyone is happy in Jepson just to like get to know you, help you out, do whatever you can, and really just help you not feel as lost as you can get, because it can be scary, definitely. But you have people who, even if you're not in Jepson or decide not to go for Jepson, everyone is happy to just be with you, meet you, do whatever they can to help you out, because that's the kind of community we have, and it's really welcoming and comforting. And I hope you guys also experience that the minute you set foot on campus.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to give you a chance to answer the question. Do you want to answer the question, Dr. Sutherland, before I say mine? Or you good?
Well, I did. So I typed in the Q&A as well, but just so you know, you have an evaluation for your 101 or 102 instructor, or both if you've taken both. There's actually an optional eval you can get as well from any faculty member. We get your transcript. We do not have a stated or required GPA. We like to look at the whole transcript because some of you might find during your first year that there was a class you took that was not your class.
That was calculus 1 for me.
That was organic chemistry for me. So we like to see that that's kind of an aberration, right? And there's an application. We ask you to share a bit about the things you're involved with. And there's one essay question. It's about 350 words, which is actually a lot harder than rambling for 4,000. But you will know shortly after fall break about decisions, so that we can do some advising with you before you have to register for your spring classes of sophomore year. So
yeah, the process is super easy. You guys already have your foot in the door, especially if you feel like you connect with Jepson and you already feel like it's a good fit. Odds are you're going to be let in. So don't worry about that process. But the two pieces I always give people, they're very short. One is focus on your education in these next 4 years, the aim of education. Just aim to educate yourself. Worry less about the content that you're actually studying and more, am I actually growing as a person? Are my critical thinking skills developing? Do I know how to annotate a paper well? Do I know how to do an annotated bibliography? I learned that my senior year. So sorry, Dr. Sutherland, I did. But I got through 3 years without doing it. And then during my honors thesis, I actually had to definitely learn how to do that. So all of those little things, like that is the point of your undergraduate degree. Worry less about the classes that you're taking, more about the professors that you're with and the people that you surround yourself with to help yourself grow. And always remember, always remember that you are a client of the University of Richmond as well. You are a student, but you're also a client. Jepson definitely helps me remember that if I want to make something happen, I need to just ask. You'd be shocked at how much the university is willing to do for you if you just ask. Jepson is a fantastic place to start, but truly, everything that I possibly could have, I wanted to do in college, I got to do with the help of the people around me. So just reach out and ask. That's all.
Well, thank you so much to all of you in attendance and also to our presenters for being here tonight. I hope you all learned as much as I did as well. And so again, thank you to everyone. If you do have any further questions, you can always reach out to any of us, but also there's the new spiders@richmond.edu email address. And if we get any questions too that pertain, we can forward them on too. So again, I hope everyone has a wonderful night, and thank you so much again for being here.
Yeah. Thank you to all my Jepson people.